What's up, everybody? I'm Zombie Cat.
And I'm Skull.
And welcome back to the Horror Den.
Now, you may notice that we are not in our usual location.
Today is my birthday. So, we are having a dude night at my house. So, we're in comfy blankets and pajamas, and we're gonna read a creepypasta.
As the world intended us for it to happen.
We got a real fun one planned tonight, though. If you're a big fan of tabletop games and D&D, as my co-host is here,
as our editor.
Even our editor is probably gonna get a kick out of this story. So it's a lot of fun, just a fun Friday night story. So, are you ready to kick it off?
Yeah. So this story is called, Have Any of You Played a Game Called Trolls and Tombs? I think there's a reason it was banned. This story is on r/NoSleep. We've been seeing it a lot. This is by Max Voynick. If I butchered that, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, put the text up just in case.
And this story was voted best title of 2020, which I agree. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's very... And if I'm correct, I searched and searched and searched. I could not find one other reading of this story on YouTube.
Well, you heard it here first, folks.
Maybe. I might be wrong, but I don't think I could find one. So.
I'll be the bold one.
So, it's a fun story, so get comfy, get some popcorn. It's not too long, so... Also, in this story, the way the text is written, you're reading it through the perspective of the character talking regularly and all the players sitting at the table, but when it has like dialogue text, it's very visible, so I'm sure our editor will make it clear for y'all that are reading along. So,
alright, so let's get into it. There is a moment at the beginning when it's like how it used to be. Jay is making some joke, standing and waving his arms around, some half-imagined impression, and Slade is howling that wild and broken laugh, and Nat is trying to stop them both, trying to rein them in, but losing herself in the moment too, her head in her hands and her back shaking as she laughs so hard she cries. It does not last long enough. Jay looks up, catches sight of the empty chair, and I can tell... imagines Caleb's response. Imagine the way Caleb would have built on his impression. Would have said something that made Slade laugh so hard they hit the table. Whispered something conspiratorial to Nat that would make her have a grin. Made her see herself as a part of it all, as a force for good. I try and busy myself. Hand out the pre-made character sheets. Check that everyone has their dice. We were so close to starting last time that I don't feel much need to explain it. Caleb had assigned us characters, gone through the rules, and we'd been set to meet the next day.
Okay, so just a quick discussion. We won't talk too much throughout this one because it's pretty short, but as a D&D player, tabletop game player, what do you think this is going to be about with a spooky title like I Think There's a Reason It Was Banned?
Okay, just from the feeling I'm getting so far, I don't know why I feel this way. I think this is a pre-established D&D group. I think one of the members died. But before they died, they made a campaign that they wanted everyone to play certain characters and everything else. Someone has taken over the DM helm like it's their final wish. And this story was probably so important to this person that the story's haunted.
Okay. There is something that this story almost feels based on. Maybe not, but... we'll discuss it at the end. I just wanted to get your opinion on with the title like that, what you could have possibly thought it could be about. So.
Right.
We'd all woken up that morning with quite a sense that something was wrong, and as we gathered on his doorstep, one by one, the realization lay a seed and grew inside us like a cancer. He'd have been so proud. The banned game, Trolls and Tombs, one of the few remaining copies found in some second-hand shop down the road, and his favorite people to play it with. He joked about the apparent rise in unalivings from people who'd played it, The blurring of reality, the testimonies of people who claim that the game became more real than life itself. It could have just been marketing strategy. Madness pervades the castle, but Caleb seemed adamant that no, there was something special about this game, and we were going to find out what. That's what had made it so unexpected. So, I digress. Our evening plays out without him now. Months later, a parody of what it could have been. I watch Slade eye their phone, chewing their nails, waiting until someone takes the attention in the conversation to give it another look. I know what they're thinking of, their plug, who doesn't live too far from here. How easy it would be to make an excuse to leave, that small plastic bag in the palm of their hand, and the feeling of relief, of that tingle that spreads from their nose to the front of their skull. I try and distract everyone, make moves to start. There's an awkward discussion about whether it feels right to keep the fifth chair in place, whether that's what he would have wanted, whether it's a morbid reminder of something we need to move past. We can't make a decision, and instead elect to have it tucked into the table, present but unused.
I can tell our minds are occupied to begin, wondering what the ethics of this are. Plowing on with a game he suggested but could never play, whether it's alright, allowed to have fun without your friend once they've passed. I try to distract them. Start the game. The premise is simple. You will play as the characters given. Try your best to embody their flaws and their strengths, and hopefully work together to solve the mystery of the Lostwood Valley and the Black Castle that presides over it. If the players are smart and resourceful, then they too may be able to discover who or what the Sick Prince truly is. I play a low, dark, ambient track, wind howling, rolling drums, guttural and melodic whispers. We begin. The fifth castle resides upon Lostwood Hill, casting its many eyes over the valley, its shadow long and prying. Its crooked windows and obsidian towers leer over the tiny village of Mort, which sits in the valley like a spider trapped in the sink. The locals speak with shivers of the way the wind howls through its turrets, how night seems to pour, not from the sky but from the walls, and the way even the stars above it seem to hide themselves. It is vast and dark and empty. The players lean in. I have their attention now.
You find yourself walking these halls, cold, alone, and with no memory of how you arrived, in a dreamlike state of acceptance. Perhaps you think, the world has always been like this, cold and looming and labyrinthian. Oxmorn picks his way blindly, the half-orc druid, no stranger to darkness. There is something here though, something new, something evil, which he cannot put his finger or his paw on. He mutters something in ancient tongue, and a small burst of white flame erupts from a green fingertip. Although the flame goes some way to fight the darkness, Oxmore notices a bitter irony. Whilst he now has a source of light, it only serves to cast yet more shadows. Slade nods, checks their character sheet, lights a cigarette. The tip hisses as they inhale. The same strange flame that illuminates those castle halls. Caleb had always said Oxmorn fit them the most. Mysterious, stubborn, watchful. Radford picks his ways along the halls, muttering prayers, half remembered to gods, half trusted, realizing now, perhaps, what is the true strength of faith. The power to believe that something, someone might hear them, might be able to save them from these endless black halls.
Nat chews her lip. Her eyes flick from side to side, thinking. She was given Radford for a reason. the only Christian in the group, and it took a little while to convince her that no, this wasn't blasphemy. She's looking thinner than I remember, though her skin tight over her bones, and every now and again, when she takes a sip of her drink, she winces as if it hurts. She wears a headscarf, and I can't help but imagine in a sort of nun's habit, a nun who perhaps wanted people to know she liked to party. Crest paces the halls too, so used to having all eyes fixed on her, on the shifting color of her skin. The dulcet tones of her voice, the curved and shimmering horns that burst from her forehead. But this is new. She knows she is alone, but she has never so keenly felt eyes on her like this, as if these silent and whispering eyes can see right through her, through the shifting facade she puts up and into the soul beneath. Jay smiles, enjoying the freedom of this new character, this skin he shares and watches. He makes a joke, and I watch how he waits for the laughter, straining. There's a moment of silence afterwards, as they realize that the next description, the one I omit, would have been for Caleb's character. Hush. They realize too then that this character was perfect for Caleb. The misunderstood goblin, the fourth hero, is now wandering those same halls, lonely and afraid, calling out for friends who will never hear him. Nat breaks the silence. Radford calls out, his voice hoarse with fear. He asks, "Who goes there? Who is walking these same halls, and whether they are a friend or foe?" The three meet, exchange theories about why they came here and why they have no recollection of it. Crest jokes that perhaps they're ghosts, and Radford shivers. You do well not to joke of such things, not here at least. As they argue, a sound rattles along the walls, a nervous skittering sound. Jay looks up, raises his eyebrows. They freeze. Oxmorn tries to illuminate more of the hallway to see what it is that's coming their way, and it is then that they remember the sick prince, the stories they were told as children. Before I continue, Oxmorn draws a condition card from the deck. It says only one thing. He can see you. The sick prince on his throne of rot, of teeth and blood and tendons not, who watches now and watches then, who'll watch you all until the end.
I sing the rhyme slightly, that half melody that accompanies any rendition of a nursery rhyme, and I'm surprised that by the time I finished they've all joined in, even just a little, humming a wordless version to themselves. They make their way through the throne room, and upon investigating can see that the black and cursed throne upon which the sick prince resides seems to wait for him, empty, shifting in the shadows. The cold air licks at their exposed skin. Radford shivers despite himself. He thumbs the holy symbol under his tunic, but Oxmorn speaks slowly. That means that he's somewhere here, right? That the sick prince is wandering the halls as we speak. He notices something in the dust and is about to speak when there's a knock at the door. At least I think so. I notice Slade perk up as well. They run a hand over their shaved head. Speak up. Is that someone at the door? Nat rolls her eyes. No, dude, no one's at the door. Her words say one thing, but her tone carries the real message. The disdain for the junky paranoia, the twitching mind of the addict, turning to everything but the most important. She hated the way Slade acted after Caleb passed, the synthetic blanket she used to smother herself. Thought it was cheating? We're quiet, and then Jay says, no, they're right. Someone's outside. We don't speak, and can hear it now. The slow, and steady shuffle of someone outside, slowly walking around the walls of the house, and I swear to God, mumbling something.
Go see who it is. I shake my head. No, it's a neighbor or something. I can't go outside every time someone walks past the house. But there's fear in our silence, in the way we lean closer into the table, the way Jay shifts his chair slightly so he's closer to the rest of us. We're scared, sure, but I'd bet that none of us can really say why. I try to distract everyone. Continue with the game. Footsteps echo from a branch of the fifth castle you've left unexplored, shambling. Oxmorn shivers, turns himself into a cat and presses into the corner of the room. Crest blends into the wall, holding their breath, and all Radford can do is quietly stalk in the opposite direction, biting their tongues so hard they can taste blood. The sick prince draws closer. They can feel it, the manic whispers that seem to crawl along the walls in the same sense of some intelligence throbbing under the stone. The way each doorway only promises more of the same, more madness, more darkness. I mentioned to Nat that she needs to take a minor event card, as her solution was the least effective. She huffs, draws one, and goes silent. Something's different about her since we last met. I'm sure of it. Some hollowness, some detachment, present in the way she seems to have sunk into her bones, and the fact that a cross no longer hangs around her neck. What is it? She puts a hand to her headscarf, chews her lips. I've inhaled one of the sick prince's spores. Radford begins to cough, a thick, viscous black liquid. A black liquid that slowly begins to fill his lungs. She looks to me. What the f***? I shuffled them, I promise. She doesn't seem convinced. They continue to move through the halls, quieter now, checking behind them at every turn. I've informed them that at this stage in the game, the path of the sick prince is decided randomly, and that I'm plotting it in secret. I do not have to say it out loud. The fact hangs above them like smoke. Nothing good can come of it if they cross him. Slade's legs begin to shake.
Whoever is outside is humming something now, just barely loud enough for us to hear, a melody that seems so familiar that can only be. Crest is growing tired of it, begins to break into a jog. They pick their way towards where they feel the great doors are, following a map they found half drawn in the dust in the throne room. Oxmorn has to return to human form, but there's a reluctance there, a sense that in moment as a beast he was perhaps happier than as a half-man. The fear doesn't just exist in the game, it slowly seeps into real life too. Upon entering a room that's empty or hearing a creak or a wail from a long corridor, they seize up in fear, as if the sick prince could somehow climb his way from the world of the game into our own. A noise upstairs, something shifting in the attic, a moment, then the sound again, a broken rhythm. It's an old house, I say. They don't seem convinced. They reach the stairs, manage to make their way to the great doors. Huge and wooden and engraved with ancient runes. I pause them. This is a key event, and as such I have to draw a random key event card from the event card deck. I make a show of shuffling it, let Jay split it, and then we pick the top card. I frown. It's for Hush, I say. Slade blinks. You told us you removed the Hush cards. I did. A pause. I did. And I feel my pulse quicken because I know I did, because I made sure of it. checking the deck one by one, card by card, to make extra sure that any reference to Hush was gone, to ensure that this exact situation didn't happen. I'd been so careful. I had a moment, a vision of Caleb's face, his voice that night on the phone, slurred, telling me there was something wrong, that this wasn't how it was meant to happen, that he couldn't leave his apartment because whenever he stared into the hall, it stretched long and black and empty in front of him like a tomb. Nat says, "Let's open it. Let's just see what it would be. Maybe we can imagine Hush is right there and that..." Jay interrupts. "No," he says, "that's f***ed. We know he would have been Hush, and it's just f***ed playing his character even though he's not here, even though he can't say it." Nat: "Dead, you mean?" We all look at the table, let the moment hang in the air. Slade itches below their jaw, shifts in their chair. "Sure," they say, "fine. Let's just see what the card says. It's part of the game, right?"
Event card. Great doors. As you rush into the entrance hall and desperately try to heave the bolt from its place, a flash of lightning illuminates the room behind you. And in that moment, you are able to see slumped against the wall behind you, the small corpse of a goblin. Hush. His wrist slit and blood so red it's almost black pooling on the floor beneath him. Silence. Memories of Caleb. I have to finish the card. And as you all stand open-mouthed, heaving, you hear something echo through the whole castle. Someone is knocking on the great doors from the other side. Slade looks at me, shakes their head, lights another cigarette. I have to clarify. I didn't write it. That these cards are random and the rules make it clear not all of the 4 will always make it out of the 5th castle. But they're telling me I rigged it. That this is a sick fucking game. That if this is what Trolls and Tombs really is, they want nothing to do with it, not now, not ever. Nat is crying now, looking up and using her index finger to wipe her tears, and Jay is shouting at me, saying that this was a dumb idea and that, look, it happened and nothing will be the same and we should just stop fucking pretending like it might be. Slade smoking the cigarette right until the very end, until it's nothing but paper and filter. They all leave in silence. Slade makes a call in my toilet, and I sit for a while at the empty table. I feel like a failure, and part of me hurts so much I have to close my eyes and rest my forehead against the cool wood grain. I was trying so hard to make it work for him, for Caleb, who I know wanted this so badly. The people he loved together one last time. I don't sleep well that night, unable to get the melody of the Sick Prince's song from my head, imagining myself lost in the 5th castle's walls, cold, alone. When I wake, I have 3 new voicemails. Slade, Jay, Nat. They tell me they want to play again, as soon as possible. That they had this dream that felt so vivid it was like it was real. Without having talked to each other, they each relay the same dream. The same dream with the same ending, facing the great doors, hearing that knock. And then a detail that wasn't present in the game. They claim they heard a voice on the other side. Caleb's voice.
The end.
I have major goosebumps.
It's awesome, isn't it?
I'm not gonna lie. This story made me profoundly sad.
Yeah, it has a very sad undertone, but it's just creepy enough. You want to know what I was referencing earlier? You know the legend of Polybius, the old arcade machine that apparently if you played it you became like so entranced and addicted to it. Like people are like, oh, it was like this CIA experiment game that they put in like arcades and stuff. Like you'll have to look into it. It's like a pop culture like icon thing at this point. It's like a huge conspiracy theory.
I'm not gonna lie, this story kind of fucked me up.
Yeah, it's really good. I really loved the rhyme of the sick prince. That's so good. It's really good.
I think the story was effective. It's just okay for people who don't know. We used to be in a D&D group together, as well as our editor, and you know it's a big group, and I mean some of us still meet and stuff like that. But it's just, I think what really hits home, and I kind of understand why Islamic Cat kind of put this in front of us. You know, it's just imagining if this was real. Like it's really hard. Like, because it kind of seems, I mean, obviously we don't know because I don't know if there's sequels or not, but it kind of seems like one of them might have cancer. That's what it seems like.
Well, I know Caleb passed away.
Obviously from, you know.
Who do you think was outside the house, like just roaming around and knocking? Like,
I think it was the spirit of Caleb wanting to come in and play.
Then I wonder who like the sick prince could be representing, because
Death.
It's such a cool, just like, I don't know, like there's so many little things, like it's a lot to take in, but it's such a short story. It's really good.
I'm finding it really hard.
And I like the idea that it was a banned game, so it's like people that have played this game, something similar has happened. So I'm thinking Caleb maybe played this game and it killed him. So they were like, oh, well, Caleb loved this game. He would have liked to see this. But now they're stuck in this trance. Like, they were like, we're done with this. But now they're like, we want to play it again. We want to play it again. We all heard Caleb. Like, what was that?
It was a good story.
It almost makes me think also, like, maybe this sick prince is like some kind of entity, like, drawing you in almost.
Maybe. Or, I don't know. I'm having a really hard time constructing my thoughts.
It is. It's really good. It's very underrated. I don't really hear people talk about this story that much. It's 4 years old. Very good. Very, very good. So this will be one we can have fun with in the comments. Definitely. Give us theories. Like, this would be fun. I want to know more. I wish it was...
I would like to see sequels.
There might be. I don't know.
We'll look into it.
Yeah. Great story, though.
Yeah.
What did you overall think of it? Like,
I think it was a good story. I think it hit a little too close to home for me.
He's a huge tabletop dude, so I knew he would get a kick out of it.
Yeah, that's why I was having so much fun reading these descriptions. The amount of times that I've had something so similar written down on a piece of paper in front of me, and I was reading it and watching the reaction of my friends paying so close attention to every detail. It's just, I can see it. For all intents and purposes, I've sat at this table. Like, and I think that's why it's kind of like...
Would you play a game of Trolls and Tombs, Mr. Superstitious?
No. Absolutely not. Like, I'm not sure what it all means. I have some theories, like, maybe it's actually, like, a way to communicate with the dead. Like, probably, like, it's kind of a luring game where it's like people, when you die in the game, you die for real.
It makes me think so much of Polybius. Like, it was like this arcade machine that, like, sucked you in, not, like, literally, but it had, like, subliminal messages and, like, just, it brainwashed you, essentially. It's such a cool conspiracy theory.
I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, or maybe it was just me personally. I think what was even more impactful about the story isn't necessarily the creep factor. I think that it's the untold energy of just how devastated this friend group was.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. It's like you have this entity that's probably something to do with why the game is banned, and it's like a big hush hush, do not play this game kind of deal. And it's probably what happened to Caleb, mentioning like he looked out of his door and it was like a never ending hall. Like that's a pretty cool like detail. But we could honestly make a whole video just like going over theories for this story. I really like this story.
I mean, also, here's another thing that we didn't think about. What if I believe it's called the Fifth Halls or something?
Yeah, they're in that castle the whole time.
The Fifth Castle. What if it's actually a real place? What if it's a real place? Because, scientifically speaking, tabletop roleplay games, specifically Dungeons & Dragons or anything that, is a lot of theater of the mind, scientifically, you use the same centers of your brain that you use when you make memories. So when you look back on your time at the table, you don't see your friends sitting around a table all the time. Some of the images you see are really what you imagined in the game, just like when you read a book. Those are your memories.
Yeah.
And so it activates a memory, like, in your brain of whatever you imagined. So what if it's actually a real place and they're all being called into it, and once you come into it, you can't leave.
Yeah.
Even if you die.
I definitely feel like there's something outside of, like, the really good sad undertones. I feel like there's something sinister at play at this game. That Sick Prince, I love the rhyme. That rhyme goes so hard. Yeah.
I think that Caleb got stuck. And I think that if there are sequels, they're gonna encounter him again.
What if they're trying to get Caleb out of the game?
Or trying to get into the game to be with him.
I don't know.
No, it's some of these people, the way that their characters are talked about, it seems like they might rather do that.
It's also really spooky how they mentioned that he knew he didn't put cards in the game that referred to Hush.
Which means the game is sentient.
Yeah, so the game, that's what makes me think there's something sinister with this game being this Sick Prince. I highly imagine there is some Sick Prince in this weird, alternate, like, tabletop world.
I want to know more. And I guarantee you as soon as we wrap this filming, we're going to look up and see if there's sequels. Because if they are, we're going to cover them.
But if not, it was a perfect no-sleep ending hook. That's what you love in No Sleep, is the conspiracy of everything. You've noticed with...
I demand a sequel. Max, I demand a sequel if there isn't one.
Maybe make a sequel for this man right
Please.
Here. It's very good, though. Very well written. Very good story. Very underrated. So.
If this somehow gets to you, Max, if you make a sequel if there isn't one, we will review it for the whole world to see. I promise.
But yeah, that has been... Have any of you played a game called Trolls and Tombs? I think there is a reason it was banned. Once again, on r/NoSleep by Max Voyn... How did you say?
Voynich. Max Voynich.
Sorry if we butchered your name. We'll have the text pop up.
Also, congratulations for Best Title of 2020. You also need an award for Best Descriptions, because that was great. I think
you liked this story.
I did like the story.
I think I picked a good one.
But I still can't lie. Like, this wasn't scary to me. This was just profoundly sad.
It just makes you think. It's like, what's going on here?
Right.
It's really, it just drives that. It makes your brain just churn. It's great. It's great.
Well, that's been our Creepypasta today. Really enjoyed it, as you can probably tell. We'll definitely look in to see if there's anything other than this in this rabbit hole. If there's not, then there's not. If there is, then we'll cover it. We'll be back in the regular studio next episode, so if you missed it, sorry. It's just more convenient this way since we were all together anyway. Happy birthday to Zombie Cat. You know what's funnier than 24?
Let me hear it.
25. Yeah, we're all getting a little older, so can't say old, but we're getting older. But anyway, so I hope you enjoyed the story. Hope you enjoy everything that you're seeing on here. If you enjoy what you are seeing, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We are almost at 300 somehow, and we just posted our 200 subscriber special at the time of this recording, probably 2 weeks ago.
Yep. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram at the Horror Den channel. We also have a Patreon. Thanks to these beautiful names here, you can have your name put in for as low as $5 a month. All funds go right back into the channel. We recently just invested into another new microphone, so hopefully our audio quality will be sounding very good soon.
Because I don't know if you can tell, Zombie Cat speaks very quiet, and
I don't know. I try.
I fill the space as my training entailed.
I'll get better, I promise.
Or at least we'll have audio equipment that can back it up.
True.
So, we're blown away by the support every time we post. It's like nothing we could have ever imagined, and I know that it can hopefully only go up from here, and we hope that you guys enjoy it as much as we enjoy making it. This is stuff that we would do regardless of if there was people watching or not.
Absolutely.
So it means the world that, 4 guys from the middle of nowhere can start making videos about stuff that they love and they have a passion for, and other people share in that passion. So if you enjoy what we do here, just continue to show your love and support, and we will continue to make content. We have some huge plans coming up.
Yep.
As we are just around the corner from our first October as a channel.
Woo.
At the time of this recording, this is roughly 6 months since we started, and we've grown this much. We can't wait to see where we're going to be at a year. Thank you so much for all the support you've given us. Thank you for tuning in if you've made it this far. If you want to support us in any way, head over to Patreon. Go follow us on Instagram. But more importantly than all that, stay spooky out there.